Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be a video covering the Endgame Gear XM2 8K. I've already covered the XM1 a number of times, so I'm not going to get into a lot of shape and size comparisons. The dimensions are true to the XM1, and the Dark Frost coating here is still one of the best on the market to date. This is a coating that I really kind of marvel at it because a lot of companies just can't seem to get identical to the coating feel of the Dark Frost on the XM2. It is exceptional. It's something that feels very dry, but it also feels slightly rubberized. So it's not going to feel like this plasticky feel. It just feels really nice. When my climate gets very humid, my room gets super hot, I've got the overhead lights on, I've got my computer ripping and roaring, playing some Apex, this thing just stays exceptional in terms of keeping the moisture off the mouse and keeping my hand locked into the overall coating. The XM2 is one of my, or XM1 is one of my favorite shapes of all time. When I was actually grinding Predator in Apex Legends, I was on the XM1 when I hit Predator twice, and it's always going to have a sweet spot in my heart for being an exceptional shape for my purposes. And I don't claw grip this mouse. I know a lot of people kind of view this as a claw grip shape. For me, probably more a form and function of my hand size and the way that I just grip mice. I actually relaxed fingertip this, and then when I begin to hunker down, I get more of a hybrid grip, and I apply a lot more force here for stability on the mouse as I am tracking people. For me, the mouse has always been this really nice pinpoint click feeling, and that's because my thumb gets exceptionally close to my index finger on the mouse when I am gripping with a relaxed fingertip grip. And I think because of that distance, again, it makes it feel more like a pinpoint precise like pointer as opposed to something like a G Pro Superlight Dex where it's just more of this relaxed ergonomic feel. For me, that click feel, the distance, has always been more of a better performer for me. And I get that on some of the smaller mice. It's just my hand always gets a little bit more cramped up on smaller mice. So the XM2 or the XM1, it's just always been such a good shape for me. And again, it's the mouse I was using or the shape I was using when I actually was grinding at my best in Apex Legends. Now, the XM2 8K, even though this is a wired mouse, yes, I know a wired mouse at the end of 2024, moving into 2025. I don't have this thing in a bungee, and I have the cable going all the way across my desk to the front of my PC. Like, just not an optimal position at all for the cable or the cord. And I just have not had any issues with the cable at all. It doesn't get close to my hand. It's never smacked me in the hand. It's never gone under the mouse. And you can see still it has that lip moving the cable up out of the mouse. So it never drags on the pad. At least it hasn't to an extent where I've like noticed the cable at all. So they've done a really nice job. If you're still into wired mice, this is, for me, my number one wired mouse option right now in October of 2024. Now, the mouse gets a lot of things superb in terms of the overall feel, and it still sets itself apart from other things on the market, and I'll explain why. The coating is probably the best coating on the market. The click feel on Mouse 1 and Mouse 2 is probably the best or close to the best on the market. The overall weight and weight balance is superb. Coming in, yes, it is 52 grams, but it is perfectly weight balanced. And the overall experience in terms of the shape, again, for me, works perfectly. Now, the click feel, it is using Kale GX switches, and I don't think they could have gone for a better switch for this mouse. The Kale GX switches in the XM2, because that plastic is so close to the bottom plate where the plastic rests in its final position after clicking, there is essentially no post-travel. And the actuation of the switch comes so abruptly fast when you begin to apply pressure, mixed with those light, crispy, tactile Kale GX switches. It's probably the best click feel on the market right now for Mouse 1 and Mouse 2 that I've personally used. You can just hear how spammable, how clicky, how crispy, light, and punchy those switches are. So it's just a really nice click feel. There's absolutely no denying that. And if you do, I question your sanity. The side flex here, the only problem with Mouse 1 and Mouse 2 that I don't remember on some of my other iterations of the XM1, there is a bit of side flex on Mouse 1 and Mouse 2, more on Mouse 2 than Mouse 1. And every once in a while in game, as I'm playing, let's say there's an intense moment in Apex and I'm spraying, if I am holding down mouse 1, I can feel mouse 1, the plastic moving a little bit. It's never something that has thrown me off while using the XM2 8K, but it is something that makes me think about it, and I wish that wasn't the case. Other than that, though, again, something that doesn't throw off my performance, it's just not really that big of a deal for me. The main thing is that click feel feeling almost damn near perfect. The side buttons also, they use KLGM 2.0s, and the side button feel very clicky and poppy. The only thing is on the larger button, mouse 4, hitting it towards the back, there's a lot of post travel, and that plastic does come up. So depending on where you're hitting the side buttons and how forcefully you're hitting the side buttons, you may experience some of that flex. But even hitting it at the very bottom of mouse 4, it feels really clicky and poppy, and you get perfect actuation of the side button. When you're hitting them in the sweet spot, they just feel clicky and really nice in terms of their overall feel. Now, with that side movement on mouse 1 and mouse 2, I don't feel any flexing, switch grind, or creaking on mouse 1. On mouse 2, I get a little bit of creaking. So when that button is moving, if I'm ever like moving my finger for whatever reason, I can feel a little bit of that creaking. And I think that's just the plastic where it screws in on the tensioning system, moving a little bit, and you feel that bend and that creaking in the plastic. Again, doesn't affect my performance, so not that big of a deal. Scroll wheel, it's using a TTC silver encoder, and I think, again, great selection for the encoder. It makes it feel, the steps feel like ever so slightly dampened and deafened, but a little bit more force required than most TTC gold encoders, and not a lot that like makes it off-putting, but there is a little bit more force I feel that I need to scroll up and down. But that mouse 3, this is like a perfect mouse 3 for me. It is not too light, not too tight, just really, really tactile, poppy, crispy, and really easy to spam. And I appreciate that because I use the side buttons and I use mouse 3 a lot in my games. So overall, the coating here is, again, bar none, probably the best on the market. I don't know why others haven't been able to replicate it. They've failed trying to do so. It is just so good. Stays dry, wicks away moisture, and really locks my hand into a grip. For me, I don't claw grip the mouse. Again, I relax fingertip and sometimes hybrid palm, making it just a really nice experience for me to get a lot of inner hand maneuverability still, and then hunker down on the base of the mid hump here as I am tracking. For me, it's always been a really nice experience, again, because of that click feel between my thumb and my index finger, making the shape, the weight balance, the overall click feel, the overall experience just being one that is superb. If I could cut the cable off and make this the same exact feel, but in wireless format, I absolutely would. And because it is wired, I don't know if it would be my main on my desk moving into the future, but I think just taking me back to that experience that I had back in the day, grinding for pred and still feeling so good on this shape and the performance I'm getting, I'm definitely going to use it. And I think I will have a spot on my desk for this moving into the future. The cable just doesn't bother me. So that's really it for this one, guys. The only other thing I would mention is, again, my weight on this copy was 52 grams. You may have some slight variance depending on, again, how much cord, especially, you put onto the scale. But it's using that TTC silver encoder. It's got the KLGM 2.0 side buttons, like we mentioned, KLGX for main buttons, 3395 sensor, and then it's using the Nuvotin MCU. Really great package, coming in at a fairly decent price. Again, there's a lot of wireless mice in that price bracket. You guys might prefer wireless, and if you do, then skip the XM2. If you can handle the wire and you love that shape, this is your best option. Other wireless mice, though, that do come somewhat close, I would say the Lamzu Atlantis 4K is going to be your closest option to the XM2 in a wireless solid performing package. And the X2H from Pulsar gets a little bit close, but the difference in the click feel is just not something that you can replicate on the X2H. Maybe if you build your own on that new builder with certain switches, but with the default switches, it really just is leagues apart in terms of click feel. The X2H gets somewhat close in terms of shape, but it's just quite different. It's just not a one-to-one crossover, and I don't think the Atlantis is either. So, for me, the XM2 is still one of my top most preferable shapes, one of my best performing shapes, and again, it really is the total package if you can handle a cable at the end of 2024. That's going to be it for this one, guys. I hope it helped. If it did, please leave a sub to the channel. See you guys in the next review. Peace.